Hello class. In this set of videos we're going to learn a little bit about InDesign to create a portfolio, an architectural portfolio. I don't think there'll be too many videos in this. This will not be an exhaustive InDesign sort of tutorial series, but just a few things to help get you going on your portfolio. So the first thing is here on screen is I have already opened InDesign, and if you just open it you'll get this sort of blank screen. You see some things I've recently opened on mine. I just want to show you how to start a new file. It's pretty easy, but there's a few things that if you do now it might help you down the way. So I'm going to go to File New, of course, right here. We're going to see something that looks similar to other Adobe software. I'm going to have us do our portfolio in Letter, so we'll keep that on Letter. Now in class I'm going to talk to you about the difference between Portrait, which is this guy, and Landscape, which is this guy over here. I'm going to keep mine in Portrait, but that is your choice. We'll talk about the pros and cons of that in class, and I will let you decide. Now there's a few other things down here that we can save ourselves some time if we spend a little bit of time and think about it. And as I sort of mentioned in class, we'll be going over, I like to think about portfolios and general page layouts in terms of columns. So I might as well go and start doing this right now in this page. And actually I think a very useful way, whether you're doing portrait or landscape, is to start with 3 columns per page. And to have a gutter, which is the space between the columns. I'll show you that in a second when I load it up. And I think 1 point is good. It's about 3/16 of an inch, which I think is about appropriate for spacing of image on this scale. And then I'm going to keep my margins set, which I'll show you what they are in a second. I think 3 points work well again for that. But again, you can play with these numbers and change them. You could turn them all off and do them any other number of ways. But I think this is a pretty good setup that works. It's very flexible, and that's sort of the key. Up top, number of pages. Obviously we're going to have more than 1 page, but it's easy enough to add pages later on, so I'm not going to worry about that. And of course we're going to start on page 1. I generally don't add page numbers to my portfolio, although you may, and you might want to change that at that time. And facing pages, that checkbox basically means it'll be like a book, which is what we want to do for a portfolio. So we'll leave that all the same. So that was sort of a bit of a lot, but really I'm just saying this is what I changed here, was these numbers down here. And again, you have the choice to change those things here. So when I say OK, I'll show you what happens. We have 1 page, and the columns, basically what it did is it took the margins is this purple or pink line around the sides, and that's this 3-point spacing here. That gives you some edges. Now we'll talk about bleeding and stuff in class, and we might ignore these. We might ignore all of these, right? But this is just to set up a basic grid. And then the columns are 1, 2, 3 evenly divided, and this is the spacing. That was that gutter setting that we changed right there, which is 1 point, which is right there. And I'll just show you, if I'm going to add a few pages to this document, now I'm just going to go to the page box here, and like many Adobe software, I'm just going to say create new page, and we see we've added a second one here, and create new page here, and we've added a second one, and I can add another spread. And we can see right in here, if you're not familiar with InDesign, it just set up all those pages, and they all have those column grids there. So we're going to end this video here. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to talk about master pages, and I'm going to talk about setting up other grid lines for us in the next few series of videos, followed by some other important things. But I think right off the bat, I mean, I know this is a 3-minute video, but the reality is it was seconds worth of work to get us 90% way through creating a really flexible template. So I'll see you next video.